But we'd be equally remiss if we didn't also highlight the reason du jour for us coming here in celebration. You know, a long, long time ago, when the first president of the University of Saskatchewan arrived, he was greeted by the first premier. Walter Scott met Walter Murray. And Walter Murray asked a really simple question. You can imagine he arrived from the East Coast, well-established universities, infrastructure, and there was nothing. I think that day the sheep were grazing. So he asked a simple question, that is, why should I stay? Why should I stay? That question continues today. Walter Scott responded and he said, because this is a big land for big people with big ideas. Big land for big people with big ideas.
They asked me the same question when I came.
I think it's on the questionnaire now.
I will tell that story some other day.
But there is a big idea that we all celebrate today. And it comes around success. We don't spend a lot of time in our society anymore thinking about the definition of success and sharing that. For some, and we saw a glimpse of it today, get your degree and move on to your career and enjoy some level of material comfort, or maybe if you're lucky to be able to help others enjoy a level of material comfort. But tonight and today, what we've seen is someone who's taken a disciplined approach to success. That is, how can we continue to learn and not so much focus on the earning part, but the caring part. That was one of the best convocation addresses I've seen. And Rajat, you helped the graduating class remove the abstraction to move beyond a remarkable story. 1 billion people moved out of poverty, better governance, better education, more food, and you turned it around and you said, but what about those left behind? Oh, Patrick. And then he did something that not very many addresses offer today to students. He provided an ethical imperative for action. He challenged them. Can you take your skills today, in this instance, in engineering and agriculture, and can you remember those that are too often forgotten? That's as powerful in this country as it is to those living on the margins of communities in India, or Ethiopia, or in the Mekong sub-basin. So we can say tonight, Dr. Nag, congratulations, and most especially from your friends, you're an inspiration. Thank you.
We want a speech from you.
Oh no!
We better start writing now.
You're good enough. But I would be remiss if I didn't at least respond a bit to what Rob has very kindly said. But let me start first with Bodhi. Where are you? Bodhi, you এখানে আসো ওখানে কি করছো ঘটঘট? এখানে আসো, come.
কাজই করে যায়।
Okay. Now.
Okay, no.
I was warned by my family before I came, and even here when I was here yesterday, whatever you do, don't cry. And I tell you, I tried hard, and you saw I succeeded. I don't always succeed. I gave a speech once in Asian Institute of Management, a similar thing, and I was doing fine till in the front row there were 3 Philippine Military Academy graduates who had been sent by their institution to do the MBA, and somehow seeing Marines sitting there stiff with tears in their eyes did it to me, and I cried too. So today, fortunately, there were no Marines in the audience, so that's fine. So I'll try to not cry now, but okay. Okay. The reason I think Saskatchewan has such a nurturing influence on people, and I'm just one of them, I'm sure it happens to all of you, is that there is something special, and it's probably in the -40 temperature, it's probably in the climate, but whatever it is, probably in the expanse, it makes people dependent on other people. And I was telling Tanya that sitting there today, I was looking at, there are many, many of you here with whom I go back 47 years. I mean, that's a long time to keep relationships which can be disrupted by time, by space, but I'm fortunate, very fortunate, that many of you, Bhabhi, Mr. Gupta, the first lady I saw in Saskatoon. The second day I was here. Professor Gupta, and I have to tell you a story about that right enough. I arrived Saskatoon 9th of September 69, got off the plane, and there was a young fellow, and I said, "Oh, you, India, graduate student." I said, "Yes." "Good, let's go." And I was very impressed. I said, "This is University of Saskatchewan." So I was taken, put up in the Murray Hall, that residence there. And I was very, very pleased. You know? Next morning, I walked into his office saying, "Professor Gupta, here I am." He said, "How are you here? You never told me you're coming." I said, "What do you mean you never told me I'm coming? I sent you a telegram," which of course I didn't get. So I said, "But you sent somebody to the airport." He said, "No, I didn't." 3 days later, I met another Indian fellow who said, "This university sucks." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because somebody was over at the airport and there was nobody at the airport." And he actually ended up spending time, which I later found out was a street of some ill repute, 14th Street. Because at night, where would he go? So I had good grace showered on me right from day one, in the form of somebody meeting me at the airport when none was arranged.
3 days ahead.
And 3 days ahead. And of course then Professor Gupta, who took me home.
Oh, and how about that story about taking the class?
Yeah, that's it. We'll come to that. And then Professor Das Gupta and Mrs. Das Gupta, neither of them unfortunately are here anymore. I then had Arutidi and Prashantoda. Arutidi, by the way, I grew up with in Delhi, lost touch with her for many, many years and found her again in Saskatoon, again going back 69. Ashida and Bodhi came to Saskatoon in 1970, and I was deputed along with my roommate Shombu to be their chauffeur, guide, whatever. That relationship, all of these relationships, 47 years old. I was in my dorm one evening and I get a call from a very kind person who spoke Bengali with a very crisp, proper, anglicized accent. And he said he was Professor Chakraborty. And I said, "Oh," I mean, I'd heard of him. And he said, he didn't ask me if I was free for dinner. He told me when I'm supposed to go for dinner at the place. And that's when I met Mayadi. This again, that. And these relationships continue to this day. So for me, Rob, the success that we talk about has to be measured by this. And these are 47 years old relationships. Now there are some which are relatively young. This young lady here, 25 years going back to Nepal, and Darcy, actually about 7 hours old. But I feel genuinely so close to you, partly because of his relationship with Kathleen, that these things, and then of course many of you I've seen less than a few hours. And one person who I was keeping for the last is actually my buddy, Vikash. Prakash, who, as you all know, is, shall we say, an absent-minded intellectual with a very, very large heart. And I have been the beneficiary of that large heart all these years. He and I shared a cubicle at college, then he and I shared a room, a flat in Seager Wheeler, and more important, he and I have shared our lives for these many years. So Vikash is one person I know, literally he's a phone call away, literally. And again, sometimes we don't communicate for months, sometimes maybe years, not years, but at least years at some point, but doesn't matter. So when I got the news about this honor, one of the first things I did, I wrote a message to him saying, will you be able to come? He had just come in September to be with me here, me and Totai. And he and Kiran, I think, immediately said yes. So I've been blessed. If there's anything that I think I've been blessed with, Rob, are these relationships. You, I mean, again, relatively new, a few years.
That's
and
because in 1969 I
didn't but a story that I must tell you, and I said this to my children and many people back home. I came here a few years back, me and a colleague of mine, as always, our first port of call was Ashida's place. We had dinner, it was snowing, and in walked the Minister of Higher Education of the province of Saskatchewan, dressed impeccably in a salwar kameez, which is fine. I mean, that's understandable in this era of multiculturalism. Time to go to the hotel. I was staying at Bessborough. So I was looking for my luggage because it was in his car, had to go to some other car. And I had the distinct honor of the Minister of Higher Education of Saskatchewan telling me, your baggage is already in the car. So I said, oh, I mean, and it was he. So I've told many people back in Asia that I have had the privilege of a Minister of Higher Education escorting me personally and then embarrassing me to no end by carrying my baggage. My esteem amongst them went up several notches. So Rob, this is the story I think which measures us in the relationships that we all build. And again, as I said, it's probably something in the air. And Pavitra, you were mentioning about that. But whatever it is, I can just say I'm very grateful. And I'm very grateful to powers that be and to you for making it all possible. And I know I speak on behalf of Totai, who hasn't come to Saskatoon often, certainly not as often as I have.
Not in the
But I
past
know
few
that
months.
that Totai and my father, who has been here before, we all feel the same way. So for us, you all are family in the most true sense of the word. Some more recent than others in the addition, but I draw sustenance from you. So whatever I said today in this speech was genuinely meant, that I draw sustenance. And Asita, what can I say? I told him in the car, I need to tell him many things, but sometimes words are neither necessary nor enough. This is one of those times. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
I just want to add one more note. It's referred to his late father. If Rajat considered Saskatoon as his home, I think it was dictated by his father. His father visited in Ottawa when we were spending sabbatical in Ottawa. At that time, actually, our sabbatical home was temporarily his house. And he said, I have to go to Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Why?
So I brought him here.
Huh? That's Rajat's home. And so he came here.
Yeah.
Rajat was not able to come. He and Totai came.
We had to see where it all began.
And one of the things, a lot of you probably are not aware, that Rajat's father did the first Saraswati Puja, the worship of the goddess of learning, in this house, from where we then expanded it into the larger community. At that time was just by inviting our individual friends. So today he's not alive, but he felt very strongly for Rajat's time in Saskatoon.
And then you took him through the campus to
Yes.
show the.
Yeah. Last year, Vikash and I came to Saskatoon and escorted by